Hi, it's John Glynn, and in today's session I'm going to be looking at the mask option in the layers panel. You'll find that you need the layers panel to be open, so you'll find that either at the bottom in Photoshop. This is Photoshop Elements 20, but this is in all versions of Photoshop. And we will have it at the bottom here under layers, and you'll also find under window layers as well. And what we're going to be looking at is the mask, add a mask. Before I do that, I'm going to go back a step and just look at create a new fill and adjustment layer. And when you do this, I'm just going to do invert as it's quick. You'll notice it too has a mask. A mask is that white sheet of paper, if you like, over the top of your picture, and it's allowing the effect over the whole of your photograph. So everything in here will have a mask. Okay, it doesn't matter which one you use, they all have masks. Okay, and just say no, I don't want that. And so they have a mask, and what you can do with a mask is allow it to work on parts of your picture but not on other parts of the picture. So I can basically cut a hole in that mask. At the moment it's pure white, but it may be if I cut a hole in it I can see through it to the picture below, and the picture below is the colour picture. So if I go over to my toolbox and click on paintbrush and make sure that the foreground paint is black, I can then hold down the left mouse key. I'm using a PC and a mouse, so just standard kit, nothing special. I can start to cut a hole through the mask and see what's below, the picture below. And the picture below, of course, is the colour photo, so therefore I can see it. Okay, so that's what a mask is effectively allowing me to do. It also allows me to undo it by just switching the colour panel over. So instead of being black in the foreground, I can switch it to white with a two-way arrow, and it allows me to refill. Okay, so that's the basics of a mask, what it will allow you to do. But not everything that we've got in the tools and in the options in the software have built-in masks. Okay, so we have to sometimes create them ourselves. So I'm going to ditch this one and put it in the dustbin, and I'm going to duplicate this background layer. So to do the duplication, I just click the right mouse key over this layer and say duplicate layer. I've got the chance here of giving it a name if I wanted, but I'm just going to leave it as background copy. And this background copy I'm going to make black and white. So to do that, there are a number of different ways of doing this, but I'm just going to go to Enhance and convert to black and white and say OK. There are different ways of doing black and white as well. I'll just say OK, and I've now got a black and white image. And I could just cut a hole in this particular picture using the eraser tool. It's a black and white photo, and if I cut a hole in it I would get the picture below, and the picture below is a colour picture. But you can see that when I do that I destroy the image. Okay, so my top image is now see-through, but there's nothing there, and I can't easily undo what I've just done because I'd have to go backwards on myself here and do undo all the time, which is what I'm going to have to do. So that's not a very suitable way of working. But if I add a mask, and all I have to do is make sure I've highlighted the background copy layer, go to mask and say add layer mask, I now have a mask which is the same as I had when I went into the invert or any of these. Remember, there was a mask. So let's drag that back out. So just like with the previous options I had, I'm going to make them I'm going to go back to paintbrush, and I make sure I've got my black ink on the foreground. Now I can, I made a mistake. The mistake is not highlighting the mask. Okay, if the mask isn't highlighted you are actually painting. So I've actually got, if you look back at my layers panel on the right hand side, your account settings are out of date. No, they're not. Anyway, doesn't matter. you'll see that I've got a blue line around my around my little thumbnail picture of the black and white. If that's active, you are painting. So I'm actually painting black ink. I don't want to do that, so I've got to undo what I've just done, because that was a mistake, and make sure that I've got a blue line around my mask instead. Now I click on the mask, not on the picture. Now that I've clicked on the mask using black ink, it's gone white because this is white, and I've clicked on it. I have to swap them back, so that's now black. So I've got black ink in my foreground colour, not white but black. Now when I use my left mouse key, as I'm just using a standard PC and mouse, holding down the left mouse key, I can now see the picture below, which was a colour picture, of course, the original photo. Okay, so I can cut through. I'm cutting a hole through my mask, as you can see. The actual original picture is still there as a background, and I still have my black and white picture on the left of the mask. So if I go to my mask and click the right mouse key, I can disable the mask and I have the black and white photo. Okay, if I go back to my mask and click the right mouse key over it and enable the mask, you can see now it's working again. Okay, because it's a mask, I can undo what I've just done, of course, which is what I did earlier, and that is swap these black and white squares the opposite way. So instead of being a black foreground, it will now become a white foreground by just using these little arrows, and now I can paint back the black and white back in again. So unlike using the eraser tool, which I'd have to undo and start all over again, this allows me to redo and whatever I want to do as often as I like. So I'm not actually having to start from scratch each time. So if I wanted to be extremely accurate and spend a bit of time on things, I can zoom in and be a bit more careful with where I'm working. And if I make a mistake, it doesn't matter, because I can just swap over the black and white squares and redo it again. Okay, so as long as black's on the foreground, it will make a hole through the mask, and you can actually see it happening in the mask itself. It goes black, and if I do the white, it will refill. Okay, so a mask allows you to do quite a lot of work on a picture, or pictures below the effect you're doing, without it actually damaging the original image in any way, shape or form. Of course you can turn it on and off as well, so you can basically have a colour picture and a black and white picture, whatever, or this effect. Just turn them on and off. You've got two different sorts of pictures in your layers panel. You can delete the whole thing, of course, by just sliding the whole lot up into the dustbin if you don't like it. So there are ways of actually working with this. If you do then utilise other things over the top, which are going to create their own mask, remember, some of these things you may find will have strange impact on the picture below. So you just have to be aware that it doesn't always do what you're expecting it to do, because there is still a mask. So I've now got a mask on top of a mask, and that mask in the black and white one is masking the background as well. So the only thing that's being seen potentially is the blue sky, because it's got a hole in it. So you just have to be aware that when you're using masks, a mask on top of a mask might prevent you from doing other things to your picture that you thought you wished to do. So there are problems with masks as well, so just understanding how they work together is important. And you may on occasion have to merge one picture into another picture, going up to your layer and merge down, for instance, or flatten the image even, so that you would then start a new mask on a brand new picture. Okay, there are occasions where you may have to do that, but in this occasion we can just be working on the picture in a very simplistic way, which is what I've been doing here, just so that you get an understanding of the process. Just convert a picture I would suggest that you duplicate your background picture, convert the new picture as I did to black and white, add a mask to that layer. You can add a mask to any layer basically, add a mask to that layer, and then using the paintbrush and the black and white squares, just learn the process of filling and unfilling the mask, and that will give you a good indication as to how they, in principle, how they work. Okay, thanks very much for watching.